Hello everyone and welcome. If you're watching this, chances are you or someone you care about might be dealing with bladder leaks or that sudden, urgent need to go. I want to start by saying, if you've ever felt embarrassed, frustrated, or isolated because of these issues, please know you are absolutely not alone. So many women, especially as we move into our 70s and beyond, experience this, but it's a topic often whispered about, if discussed at all. We're here to change that. This isn't about shame, it's about understanding and empowerment, because bladder health isn't solely a matter of aging. It's significantly influenced by our daily habits, many of which we might not even realize are playing a role. The good news is that awareness is the first step towards positive change. Many factors contribute to bladder control, and helplessness is not the default setting here. We can influence our bladder health more than we often think. This video is dedicated to shedding light on these factors, moving away from any sense of embarrassment and towards practical knowledge. We're going to explore 8 subtle, perhaps even surprising habits that could be making bladder leaks or urgency worse for women over 70. These are often overlooked aspects of our daily routines that can have a significant impact. I encourage you to stay with me through all 8 points, because the habits we'll discuss towards the end might be some of the most familiar, and therefore the most impactful ones to address. Knowledge is power, and understanding these connections can make a real difference in your comfort and confidence. We're going to break down each habit, understand why it affects your bladder, and talk about simple, actionable steps you can take. Let's walk through this together. One of the most common habits I see, often developed over years of busy lives, is ignoring the urge to urinate. Perhaps you're in the middle of something or you think, I can hold it a bit longer. While occasional delays are normal, consistently overriding your body signals can, over time, contribute significantly to bladder issues, including those frustrating leaks. Think of your bladder as a sophisticated muscular sac. It's designed to fill and empty efficiently. When you repeatedly ignore the initial cues that it's time to go, you're essentially asking this muscle to stretch beyond its comfortable capacity, again and again. This isn't a one-time problem. It's the cumulative effect of this stretching that we need to consider. This chronic overstretching can gradually weaken the bladder muscle itself, much like an overstretched elastic band loses its snap. A weakened bladder muscle may not be able to contract as effectively to empty completely, potentially leading to residual urine. Furthermore, and just as importantly, this habit can confuse the intricate communication system between your bladder and your brain. Your bladder has stretch receptors that send signals to your brain when it's filling. If these signals are consistently ignored, the brain might become less sensitive to them, or the signals themselves might become muddled. This can lead to a situation where you no longer accurately perceive when your bladder is full, increasing the risk of urgency or unexpected leaks because the warning system isn't as reliable as it once was. It might seem counterintuitive, but training your bladder to empty more regularly, even if you don't feel an overwhelming urge, can be incredibly beneficial. For many women, aiming to use the bathroom every 2 to 3 hours during the day can help prevent the bladder from becoming overly full. This isn't about forcing yourself to go if you truly don't need to, but rather about establishing a gentle rhythm that respects your bladder's natural capacity and signaling. It's about proactive bladder management rather than reactive crisis control, helping to maintain that crucial muscle tone and nerve sensitivity. Consider it a form of preventative maintenance for your urinary system. By not allowing your bladder to reach that point of extreme fullness regularly, you're giving the muscles a chance to work within their optimal range, preserving their strength and responsiveness. This regular emptying also helps to keep those nerve pathways sharp and clear, ensuring that when your bladder does need to signal fullness, the message is received loud and clear and in a timely manner. It's a shift from a mindset of, I'll go when I'm bursting to, I'll go to keep things running smoothly. You might find it helpful to set gentle reminders on your phone or watch, especially when you're first trying to establish this new pattern. It's not about rigidity, but about creating a supportive habit. Think of it like regular meal times for your digestive system. Your bladder also thrives on a degree of predictability. This proactive approach can reduce the frequency of those gotta go now moments, and consequently, the likelihood of leaks that occur when you just can't make it in time. It's a small change in routine that can yield significant improvements in comfort and control. So, the key takeaway here is to listen to your body, but also to be proactive. Don't wait for desperation. By fostering a habit of regular, timed voiding, You're not just emptying your bladder, you're actively working to maintain its health, strength, and the integrity of its communication with your brain. This simple adjustment can be a powerful step in managing and reducing bladder leaks, helping you feel more in control throughout your day. It's about working with your body, not against it. Let's talk about what we drink, and specifically when we drink it. Many of us enjoy a warm drink in the evening or make sure we're hydrated before bed. While staying hydrated is crucial for overall health, consuming large amounts of fluids too close to bedtime can be a direct contributor to nighttime bladder issues, including waking up multiple times to urinate or experiencing bedwetting. It's a simple equation. What goes in must come out, and if it goes in late, it's likely to want to come out while you're trying to sleep. Our bodies naturally produce less urine at night, thanks to a hormone called vasopressin, which helps concentrate urine while we sleep. However, if you're loading up on fluids before bed, you can easily overwhelm this natural mechanism. Your kidneys will continue to process those fluids, and your bladder will fill, inevitably signaling the need to empty. This isn't just about the inconvenience. Interrupted sleep has negative effects on our mood, energy levels, and overall health. The goal isn't to dehydrate yourself, but to be more strategic about your fluid intake. Focus on drinking plenty of water from the morning through the late afternoon. This gives your body ample time to process those liquids before you start winding down for the night. Then, as evening approaches, particularly in the 2 to 3 hours before sleep, begin to taper off your fluid consumption. A few sips of water is generally fine, but avoid large glasses of water or other beverages. Consider your evening routine. Do you habitually have a large mug of tea or a big glass of water right before bed? Try gradually reducing the volume or shifting that habit to earlier in the day. For instance, if you enjoy herbal tea, perhaps have it right after dinner instead of just before bed. This small adjustment can make a significant difference, allowing your bladder to remain quiet and giving you better sleep. It's also worth noting the type of fluids. Even non-caffeinated beverages in large quantities can cause issues. Pay attention to your own body's response. Keeping a simple bladder diary for a few days, noting what and when you drink and your bathroom trips can help you identify patterns. Ultimately, managing evening fluid intake is about finding a balance that keeps you hydrated without overloading your system before rest. By front-loading your hydration and being mindful before sleep, you can significantly reduce nighttime urgency. This improves bladder control and profoundly impacts your sleep quality, which is foundational to good health as we age. Many of us rely on that morning cup of coffee or tea to kickstart our day, or perhaps an afternoon pick-me-up to combat a slump. There's a certain comfort and ritual associated with these caffeinated beverages. However, when it comes to bladder health, particularly if you're experiencing leaks or urgency, caffeine can be a significant, often underestimated agitator. It's not just about the fluid volume, it's about the inherent properties of caffeine itself and how it interacts with your urinary system. Understanding this interaction is key to making informed choices. Caffeine is a known diuretic. In simple terms, this means it encourages your kidneys to produce more urine, and to do so more quickly than they otherwise would. So, that cup of coffee isn't just adding to your fluid intake, it's actively telling your body to flush out fluids at an accelerated rate. This increased urine production naturally leads to a fuller bladder more frequently, increasing the number of times you feel the urge to go. For someone already managing a sensitive bladder, this extra pressure and frequency can easily tip the scales towards urgency and potential leakage. Beyond its diuretic effect, caffeine also acts as a bladder irritant or stimulant for many people. This means it can directly aggravate the bladder muscle, the detrusor muscle, making it more sensitive, more prone to spasms, or more likely to contract involuntarily. These contractions can create a sudden, strong urge to urinate, even when your bladder isn't particularly full. It's this irritant effect that often contributes to gotta-go-now moments and urge incontinence. It's like caffeine is poking at your bladder, making it overactive and less predictable. The impact of caffeine can vary greatly from person to person. Some individuals might be able to tolerate a certain amount without noticeable issues, while for others, even a small quantity can trigger symptoms. It also matters when you consume caffeine. Having caffeinated drinks later in the day, say in the afternoon or evening, means these diuretic and stimulant effects might be most potent when you're hoping to wind down or sleep, leading to disrupted nights and increased urgency when you least want it. If you suspect caffeine might be contributing to your bladder concerns, you don't necessarily have to eliminate it entirely overnight unless you want to or your doctor advises it. A more gradual approach might be more sustainable. Start by reducing your intake. If you drink 3 cups of coffee a day, try cutting back to 2, then 1. Pay attention to the timing. Perhaps make your last caffeinated beverage an earlier one, switching to decaf or non-caffeinated options in the afternoon and evening. Many people find significant relief just by eliminating that afternoon cup. Experiment with alternatives. There are many delicious decaffeinated coffees and teas available. Herbal teas like chamomile, peppermint, or ginger, check for any personal sensitivities of course, can provide that warm, comforting ritual without the bladder bothering caffeine. Even just switching 1 or 2 of your daily caffeinated drinks to a non-caffeinated option can lessen the overall load on your bladder. The key is to observe how your body responds to these changes. Reducing caffeine is a powerful, yet relatively simple lifestyle modification that can offer substantial benefits for bladder control and comfort. We often talk about exercising our arms, legs, and core for strength and mobility, but there's a group of muscles crucial for bladder control that frequently gets overlooked: the pelvic floor muscles. These muscles form a supportive sling or hammock at the fleshy part of your pelvis, running from your pubic bone at the front to your tailbone at the back. They play a vital role in supporting your bladder, uterus, and bowel, and critically, they help control the opening and closing of your urethra, the tube through which urine passes. When these muscles are weak or not functioning optimally, it can directly lead to problems like stress incontinence, leaking with coughing, sneezing, or exertion, and urge incontinence. Think of your pelvic floor muscles as the gatekeepers for your bladder. Strong, well-toned pelvic floor muscles can contract effectively to close off the urethra, preventing unwanted leaks when there's pressure on the bladder, like when you laugh, cough, sneeze, or lift something heavy. They also help to inhibit bladder contractions, giving you more time to get to the bathroom when you feel the urge. However, factors like childbirth, menopause, due to hormonal changes affecting muscle tone, chronic coughing, constipation, and even just the passage of time can weaken these essential muscles if they're not actively maintained. The good news is that, just like other muscles in your body, your pelvic floor muscles can be strengthened with targeted exercises, commonly known as Kegel exercises. Many women have heard of Kegels, but there's often confusion about how to do them correctly, or an assumption that they're too complicated or won't make a difference. Let me assure you, they can make a profound difference, and they are simpler than you might think. The first step is correctly identifying the muscles. A common instruction is to try to stop the flow of urine midstream. Those are the muscles you're targeting. However, don't make a habit of doing Kegels while urinating, as this can interfere with bladder emptying. Use it just for identification. Once you've identified the muscles, the basic exercise involves squeezing and lifting them, holding the contraction for a few seconds, and then relaxing completely for the same amount of time. It's important to breathe normally throughout the exercise and to avoid tightening your abdominal, buttock, or thigh muscles. Focus solely on isolating that pelvic floor lift. You can do these exercises discreetly, anytime, anywhere, sitting, standing, or lying down. Start with a few repetitions, say 5 to 10, a couple of times a day, and gradually increase the duration of the hold and the number of repetitions as your muscles get stronger. Consistency is far more important than intensity at the beginning. If you're unsure whether you're doing them correctly, or if you're not seeing improvement, please don't hesitate to seek guidance. A doctor, a urogynecologist, or a physical therapist specializing in pelvic health can provide expert instruction and ensure you're engaging the right muscles effectively. They can assess your pelvic floor strength and tailor an exercise program specifically for your needs. Sometimes biofeedback or other tools can be used to help you learn how to perform the exercises correctly. It's really an investment in your long-term bladder health and confidence. Ignoring your pelvic floor health is like building a house on an unstable foundation. These muscles are fundamental to urinary continence. Incorporating pelvic floor exercises into your daily routine, even just for a few minutes, can be one of the most effective strategies for preventing and managing bladder leaks. It's not a quick fix. It takes time and consistency, often several weeks to months to notice significant improvement. But the benefits of a stronger, more resilient pelvic floor are well worth the effort, empowering you with greater control and reducing reliance on pads or other coping mechanisms. This habit might sound similar to our first point about ignoring the urge, but there's a subtle yet important distinction. While the first focused on consistently overriding strong signals, this habit, skipping bathroom trips during the day, often stems from being deeply engrossed in activities, a lifetime of prioritizing other tasks, or perhaps even a reluctance to use public restrooms. It's about proactively delaying bathroom visits even when you feel a mild to moderate need, or not having a regular rhythm to your bladder emptying throughout your waking hours. This pattern of infrequent voiding can lead to chronic overstretching of the bladder. When your bladder is consistently allowed to fill to its maximum capacity, or beyond what's comfortable, before you finally make a trip to the restroom, it places undue strain on the bladder walls. Over time, this repeated overdistension can diminish the bladder's elasticity and its ability to contract efficiently. Imagine a balloon that's repeatedly overinflated. It eventually loses some of its ability to shrink back to its original size and strength. A bladder that's frequently overstretched may not empty completely, leaving residual urine behind, which can increase the risk of urinary tract infections and further irritate the bladder lining. Furthermore, this consistent overfilling can desensitize the nerves in the bladder wall that are responsible for signaling fullness to your brain. If your bladder is always very full, your brain might start to interpret this extreme fullness as the new normal for triggering the urge to go. This means you might not feel the need to urinate until your bladder is already under considerable pressure, leading to more intense urgency and a shorter window of time to reach the bathroom, thereby increasing the risk of accidents. It's a cycle where delaying urination makes future urges more critical and harder to manage. To counteract this, it's beneficial to establish a more regular schedule for bathroom breaks throughout the day, a practice sometimes referred to as timed voiding or bladder training. This doesn't mean you need to become obsessive, but rather to cultivate an awareness and a gentle routine. For many, this might mean planning to visit the restroom every 2 to 4 hours, depending on your individual fluid intake and bladder capacity, even if you don't feel an overwhelming urge at that specific moment. The goal is to prevent your bladder from becoming excessively full. This proactive approach helps to maintain your bladder's natural capacity without overstretching it, preserves the sensitivity of the nerve signals, and can reduce the intensity of urgency when it does occur. It's about retraining your bladder and your habits to work in a more harmonious rhythm. If you're often out and about, make a mental note of restroom locations. If you're at home and tend to get absorbed in tasks, set a quiet reminder on your phone or link bathroom breaks to other regular activities, like before or after meals or before leaving the house. Think of it as giving your bladder regular, gentle exercise in filling and emptying within a healthy range. This consistent pattern helps to ensure it doesn't get pushed to its limits routinely. By avoiding the too busy to pee syndrome and embracing a more scheduled approach to daytime urination, you are actively working to protect your bladder's elasticity, nerve function, and overall health. This can significantly reduce feelings of overwhelming urgency and decrease the likelihood of those dashes to the bathroom that sometimes don't end as planned. It might seem like two separate systems, but your bowel health, specifically whether you're frequently constipated, can have a surprisingly direct and significant impact on your bladder function and control. Many women I speak with are unaware of this crucial link. Your rectum, the final section of your large intestine where stool is stored before a bowel movement, sits very close to your bladder in the confined space of your pelvis. When your rectum is full of hard, difficult-to-pass stool due to constipation, it can physically press against your bladder. This pressure from a loaded rectum can reduce the amount of urine your bladder can comfortably hold, making you feel the urge to urinate more frequently, even if your bladder isn't truly full. It's like having less storage space available. Furthermore, this constant pressure can also irritate the bladder nerves, leading to increased bladder sensitivity, overactivity, and those sudden, strong urges to go that are characteristic of urge incontinence. The straining associated with chronic constipation can also put immense repetitive stress on your pelvic floor muscles, weakening them over time and exacerbating stress incontinence, those leaks with coughs, sneezes, or exertion. Think about the anatomy. Your bladder and rectum are neighbors sharing a relatively small pelvic cavity. If one neighbor, the rectum, is overfull and pushing outwards, the other neighbor, the bladder, is going to feel the squeeze. This can also interfere with the complete emptying of your bladder. If the rectum is distended, it can sometimes obstruct the urethra or alter the bladder's angle, making it harder to void fully. Incomplete bladder emptying, as we know, can lead to residual urine, increasing the risk of urinary tract infections, which themselves can worsen bladder symptoms. Addressing constipation is therefore a key strategy in improving bladder control. The first steps usually involve dietary and lifestyle adjustments. Increasing your intake of dietary fiber is crucial. Fiber adds bulk to your stool and helps it absorb water, making it softer and easier to pass. Aim for a variety of fiber-rich foods like fruits, especially prunes, berries, apples, vegetables like leafy greens and broccoli, whole grains such as oats, brown rice, and whole wheat bread, legumes like beans and lentils, as well as nuts and seeds. Introduce fiber gradually to allow your digestive system to adjust and to avoid gas and bloating. Adequate hydration is also paramount. Water helps to soften stool and move it through your colon. If you're increasing fiber intake, you must also increase your fluid intake, primarily water. Otherwise, the fiber can actually worsen constipation. Gentle, regular physical activity, like walking, can also stimulate bowel motility and help prevent constipation. Listen to your body's signals for a bowel movement. Don't ignore the urge, as this can make constipation worse. Establishing a regular time for bowel movements, perhaps after breakfast, can also be helpful as it takes advantage of the body's natural gastrocolic reflex. If these lifestyle measures aren't sufficient to manage persistent constipation, it's important to consult your doctor. They can help determine the cause of your constipation and recommend further strategies, which might include specific types of fiber supplements, stool softeners, or other medications if necessary. They can also rule out any underlying medical conditions. Managing constipation isn't just about digestive comfort. It's a vital component of maintaining good bladder health and reducing the burden on your pelvic floor, thereby helping to alleviate urinary leakage and urgency. This might seem like a minor detail in the grand scheme of bladder health, but what you wear, specifically clothing that is tight around your abdomen and waist, can indeed contribute to bladder issues, particularly urgency and frequency, and can exacerbate existing leaks. It's an external factor that exerts internal pressure. Many of us, perhaps for fashion, for support, or out of habit, opt for garments like tight jeans, constricting shapewear, or high-waisted pants with snug waistbands. While these might look a certain way, they can be silently working against your bladder comfort. Think about what happens when you wear clothing that cinches or compresses your midsection. This constant external pressure on your abdomen doesn't just stay external, it's transmitted inwards, directly onto your internal organs, including your bladder. If your bladder is already trying to fill, this added pressure can make it feel fuller than it actually is, triggering the urge to urinate more frequently. It essentially reduces the functional capacity of your bladder by constantly squeezing it, giving you less leeway before you feel that urgent need to go. This is particularly relevant if you're already dealing with an overactive bladder or urge incontinence. The added pressure from tight clothing can be the extra nudge that turns a manageable urge into an overwhelming one, or even a leak. For women who experience stress incontinence, leaking with physical exertion like coughing or laughing, tight abdominal clothing might not directly cause the leak, but can worsen the sensation or make you more aware of your bladder because it's already under a baseline level of compression. It's about creating an environment of ease for your bladder, not one of constant constraint. Moreover, very tight clothing, especially items like restrictive girdles or shapewear, can also potentially interfere with the natural function and movement of your pelvic floor muscles. These muscles need to be able to contract and relax effectively to maintain continence. Constant compression might hinder their optimal performance or even contribute to chronic tension, which paradoxically can also be unhelpful for bladder control. The goal is support, not strangulation. The solution here is relatively straightforward and often brings immediate relief. Opt for looser, more comfortable clothing around your abdomen and waist. This doesn't mean you have to sacrifice style entirely, but rather make conscious choices. Look for pants with elastic waistbands or skirts with adjustable drawstrings. Choose fabrics with some stretch and give. If you wear jeans, ensure they are not uncomfortably tight, especially when you sit down. Be mindful of undergarments. While supportive underwear is fine, overly constricting shapewear worn daily for long periods might be worth reconsidering if bladder symptoms are an issue. Pay attention to how you feel when you wear different types of clothing. Do you notice more urgency or discomfort when you're in your tightest outfits? This simple self-observation can be very revealing. Making the switch to more bladder-friendly attire is a small, easy change that can reduce unnecessary pressure on your bladder and pelvic floor, potentially leading to fewer urgent trips to the bathroom and greater overall comfort. It's about allowing your body, including your bladder, the space it needs to function without added external stress. This final habit is perhaps the most insidious because it's a habit of thought, a mindset that can prevent women from seeking the help and relief they deserve. The assumption that bladder leaks, urgency, or frequent urination are simply an inevitable, unchangeable part of aging. I hear this so often: "Oh, it's just my age," or "all my friends have this problem, it's normal." While it's true that the prevalence of bladder issues can increase with age due to various physiological changes, it is absolutely not true that you just have to accept it and live with it without exploring options. This belief is a major barrier to improving quality of life. Attributing bladder problems solely to aging can lead to a dangerous passivity. If you believe nothing can be done, you're unlikely to mention it to your doctor. You're unlikely to explore potential treatments or lifestyle changes, and you may resign yourself to a life increasingly restricted by trips to the bathroom, by the fear of accidents, and by the use of pads as a permanent solution. This is a profound misunderstanding of what's possible. Modern medicine and pelvic health understanding have advanced significantly. There are many effective strategies and treatments available that can significantly improve or even resolve bladder control issues, regardless of age. Think about it. If you had persistent joint pain that limited your mobility, you'd likely see a doctor to find out why and what could be done. If your vision was failing, you'd get your eyes checked. Bladder health deserves the same proactive approach. It's a medical condition, not a personal failing or an irreversible consequence of birthdays. Dismissing it as just aging means you could be missing out on effective interventions that could dramatically enhance your daily comfort, confidence, and freedom. It's about advocating for your own well-being. When you talk to your doctor, they can help determine the specific type of incontinence or bladder issue you're experiencing, as different types, stress, urge, mixed overflow, have different primary causes, and often respond best to different approaches. They can rule out underlying conditions that might be contributing, such as urinary tract infections, medication side effects, or other medical issues. They can discuss a range of options, from the lifestyle modifications we've talked about in this video, to pelvic floor physical therapy, medications, nerve stimulation therapies, or, in some cases, surgical procedures. The key is that there are options. Please do not let embarrassment or the misconception that "it's normal for my age" prevent you from having this conversation. Healthcare professionals are there to help, not to judge. They discuss these issues regularly. Bringing it up is the first and most crucial step. You might be surprised at the range of possibilities for improvement. Even if a complete cure isn't possible for everyone, significant improvement in symptoms and quality of life is very often achievable. It's about finding what works best for you. So the most important habit to break is the habit of silence and resignation. Challenge that inner voice that says, "This is just how it is now." Instead, cultivate a mindset of inquiry and action. Your bladder health is an integral part of your overall health and well-being. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength and self-respect. You deserve to live your life as fully and comfortably as possible, and addressing bladder concerns is a vital part of that. Don't let the myth of inevitability hold you back from exploring the pathways to relief. As we've journeyed through these 8 habits, I wonder how many of them resonated with you, perhaps as quiet routines that have subtly crept into your daily life over the years. It's easy for these patterns to become ingrained, without us even realizing their potential impact on our bladder health. Remember, the goal here isn't to overwhelm you with a long list of don'ts, but to foster awareness and empower you with knowledge. Bladder control, especially as we navigate our 70s and beyond, isn't about a magic bullet. It's about understanding our bodies and making small, conscious, positive changes that can collectively make a significant difference. The power truly lies in that awareness and the willingness to adjust. Whether it's rethinking your evening fluids, being more mindful of caffeine, incorporating those vital pelvic floor exercises, or finally challenging the myth that it's just aging, each small step can contribute to greater comfort, confidence, and control. It's about reclaiming a sense of agency over your well-being. You are not helpless in this, and there are so many avenues for improvement. Start with 1 or 2 changes that feel most manageable and relevant to you, and build from there. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these habits stood out to you the most? Is there something you're planning to try or a change you've already made that has helped? Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your insights could be incredibly helpful to others in our community. Thank you so much for watching and for investing this time in your health. If you found this video informative, please give it a like, subscribe for more content like this, and consider sharing it with anyone you think might benefit. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.